Hey everybody, I just wanted to make a video on this monolith that was found off the coast of Sicily. I'm sure a lot of you have seen videos on this or heard of this, but this story here came out fairly recently, and divers found a monolith that was obviously on land at one time, and now it sits on the bottom of the seafloor. And you can just see here on Google Earth that the Mediterranean probably looked a lot different about 10,000 years ago. I believe it was about 9,500 BC where we had some sort of event on Earth, and this was the second time this has happened in maybe about 2,000 years at the end of the last ice age. But we had some sort of second cataclysmic event. It was either a comet or a passing comet or a massive CME or remnants of the Vela supernova that hit Earth about 9,500 years ago, and I believe this caused a massive amount of ice to melt. The sea levels went up pretty much instantly, I believe, worldwide. And this is where the legend, I believe, of Atlantis being submerged comes from, and other biblical flood tales, including the flood of Noah. I believe this was the big one that maybe was worldwide, and there are legends of floods that come from pretty much every civilization, ancient civilization on Earth, and I think this is where it came from. And I just want to do a little reading here. And this is livescience.com. I just wanted to go over this really quickly in case some people aren't familiar. It says ancient man-made monolith discovered in Mediterranean Sea. It says during a high-resolution mapping of the Mediterranean seafloor, researchers discovered an enormous stone monolith resting in the Sicilian Channel. Ancient people may have crafted the monolith and possibly used it as a lighthouse, and that is purely speculation. It says, however, it's unclear how ancient people living at least 9,500 years ago were able to cut, extract, transport, and install the stone, the researchers said. And here you get a look at this monolith. It says, after seeing the monolith appear on the high-resolution maps, the researchers sent divers underwater to get photos and videos of it. It says the monolith has 3 holes with diameters of about 16, 20, and 24 inches, and that's 40, 50, and 60 centimeters, and these were obviously made by, these were man-made holes. And it says here, here you get a look at the high-resolution map that shows this underwater monolith, obviously by an ancient seashore. It says high-resolution map showing the monolith on the floor, and the monolith is 39 feet or 12 meters long. And here is another look at this stone, and what this is or was used for is all up for grabs as far as the true purpose of this. It says it is resting on the seafloor 131 feet or 40 meters underwater. Here's some more imaging of this area. And I want to show you this. This shows you what the old Mediterranean looked like compared to today. This tan area here is all what was covered up by the rising sea levels. And I just want to compare this to Google. But I just wanted to compare this to Google Earth. All this tan area here is what was swallowed up by rising sea levels. And here, switching back to Google Earth, this is what the Mediterranean today looks like. Notice the southern shore of Sicily here and what it looked like back then. You had a huge point or plateau coming out here, and the distance between Sicily and North Africa was just basically, there was just some islands in the channel here, and it wasn't very long at all. And here, going back to Google Earth. So obviously the Mediterranean today looks so much different than it did about 10,000 years ago, or 11,500 years ago. I think this event happened in 9,500 BC, and sometimes I say 9,500 years ago when I mean 9,500 BC. That is a mistake I think we all make a few times, but this gives you a real good look. This gives you a real good look at the difference here. Now I just want to go back to Google Earth. And also here I just want to talk about this. This area here, you can see the deep old Mediterranean, I believe, and this very light blue area up on top here and down by Sicily, and especially up here in the Aegean. This was all covered up by that massive flood, I believe, of about 9,500 years ago. And I made a video a couple years ago, and I just want to play a clip from that. But Robert Ballard was looking for warships in the Aegean up in this area here, and he came across something off the coast of Anzac Beach in Turkey, and I just want to play that clip for you right now.
So here's what we do is we then put, I'll give you an example of some recent discoveries we were doing. So let me back up before I go into that. So here's the promise we have made to our sponsor. That when we make a discovery, no matter when, no matter where, we will have the brightest people in America on that in 30 minutes. We will beam them to the bottom of the ocean in 30 minutes. And we do that by teleporting them, moving them. Because we constantly are making discoveries. We just got back. We were out in the ship and we were doing all sorts of crazy things. And we were doing a thing with National Geographic on the Battle of Gallipoli in the Aegean, looking for these warships from the time of World War I, and we found them and we're all sorts of cool. And we're looking, but what I love about what I do is most of the really important discoveries I made were done by accident looking for something else. I didn't expect to find those clams. I didn't expect to find those black smokers. There's so many of my discoveries that I stumbled on them. And here's another classic example. So National Geographic says, go find these warships. And we go, yeah, cool, we know sort of where they are. We'll mow the lawn, find them. So I'm going in here and I'm trying to find a battleship called the HMS Triumph up here off Anzac Beach. And we found it, but as I was coming in on the area where the battleship was, I look over my sonar and I see this. I see a ring, a circular ring that's 45 meters across with some sort of structure in the middle. What is that? That is probably a site of human habitation 9,000 years ago when that particular piece of real estate was above water. A Neolithic site, one of the oldest now discovered. And we went down and walls of stone, we found 12 of them. We're heading back there to do some more on them in a few months. Completely out of the blue. What are you doing here?
So this massive flood happened about 9,500 years ago, and I believe it is the flood of Noah, and I don't think this came from, like, the comet was full of water. I don't think that was a story. I think we have hints that the water, the flood, came from beneath the earth. There has been studies done that tell us that there is massive amounts of water beneath the Earth's crust, and I believe whatever happened here, a passing comet, a comet strike, the supernova, whatever it happened, it caused tectonic activity, plate shifts, and I believe there was large fracturing across the Earth, and I believe the water came from within the Earth itself. And I just want to go over to a Bible verse here. This comes from the story of Noah in Genesis 7, verses 11 and 12, it says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month of the 17th day of the month, on that day all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of heavens were opened, and rain fell upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So it gives a hint in the Bible that this water came from within the earth, and then with all the water and vapor being ejected out of the earth's surface, I believe then it fell back upon the earth. And once again here we have the 40 number popping up in the Bible. That is up for speculation if it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, but I have made a video prior saying that all these mentions of 40 in the Bible, and they are numerous, that comes from Egypt, the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid is a 40 times copy of pi. But going back to Google Earth here, up here in the North Aegean, obviously that circle found by Robert Ballard here, but this event that happened 9,500 years ago, what it did is it just swelled the Mediterranean and it created the Northern Aegean here, and this just might have been a small river or a thin strip of water, but this just swelled up with water, and it finally burst through up here, the Bosphorus Valley in Turkey. And if you look at this landscape, it kind of reminds me of the Washington Scablands. I believe water poured all over this section of earth here at one time, and this is where the legend of Noah's flood comes from. Robert Ballard has discovered things, I believe, on the Black Sea floor too. But this is a good look at the Bosphorus Valley here, and the Black Sea at one time was an inland sea, an inland freshwater sea, and you can see the remnants of that inland sea here. The dark blue is what the ancient lake looked like, and then about 9,500 years ago we had this massive sea level rise. The water poured through the Bosphorus here, and you can see the remnants of that ancient flood here by the valleys that were scarred on the sea of the Black, or on the floor of the Black Sea. And you don't see that anywhere else in the Black Sea except for this area just north of the Bosphorus where the water rushed through. So that is proof of that ancient flood. I believe that happened 9,500 years ago. This was the flood of Noah from the Bible. Probably came within the earth. Hope you thought this was interesting. Have a nice day.